So today we're going to be talking about 150 years of beauty, aging the right way. I think there's a lot of talk in the media and in the press around aging. And when we're younger, we tend to not think about aging. But the thing that we need to think about when we're younger is something I call wear and tear. So wear and tear, people understand that certain activities have a wear and tear factor to them. So for instance, if you're a runner, what type of problems do runners tend to have? Problems with their knees, with their feet, with their hips, with their back. So over time, joints in the body can begin to wear down. I have a patient who played lacrosse in college, and he developed this really massive amount of muscle contraction on one side of his back because he was always turning, always turning, always turning. And so any activity that you do is going to have a wear and tear factor, including if you're sitting all day long. And so we need to be aware of the impact that the activities that we're having is having on our body. And so from an aging standpoint, if our joints are wearing out too early, you're going to have problems later in life. You're going to have pain, you're going to have degeneration, you're going to have other issues that is really highly preventable if you just begin to start to be aware that it's having this impact on your body. The second thing is around what I call being proactive versus reactive. In our society, we're very much focused on kind of fixing problems once they happen. But if you really look at from an aging standpoint, we really want to think about, there's a quote that I really love, which is that the time to fix the roof is when the sun is shining, right? So when the sun is shining, people aren't thinking about water coming in through the roof. And if we're being really proactive, we're going to fix that roof before the rain comes, as opposed to when the rain comes. By the time you have an injury, you have an illness, you're having some sort of problem with your body, you already have to kind of dig yourself out of that place. So rather than doing that from an aging standpoint, how about there are some things in your life that you can foresee may happen. You may know, for instance, that if you are playing tennis, I have some tennis players that come to see me, and if you are a tennis player, you may have problems in your wrist, in your elbow, in your shoulder. I played competitive tennis when I was a teenager, and I ended up tearing the rotator cuff in my right shoulder. I'm turning 50 this year, but this shoulder has never been the same since. So for 35 years, this shoulder has been bothering me. Now, it doesn't bother me all the time. I don't get pain all the time. But the wear and tear factor of me being 14 or 15 years old and hitting the ball, it starts wearing on the shoulder. And so I ended up having physical therapy and rehab, and over the many years, I've had to rehab my own shoulder, strengthen my shoulder, have massage and body work done, chiropractors working on different people working on my shoulder to help to repair my shoulder. So again, we're getting back to this idea of 150 years of aging well. So being proactive or reactive. So what are you doing in your life right now that potentially is causing your body to break down? Just think about your day. Is it your work environment, sitting in front of the computer? Is it your sporting activities? You know, some activities have a high wear and tear factor, like I said, like running. Are you doing CrossFit, Orange Theory, yoga, martial arts? You just have to be able to look at that individual activity and see what it is that you need to do about it. The last thing that I want to talk about, at least in this video, is what I call preservation. So when we preserve something, we are trying to keep it as much as possible like new. So imagine you got in an airplane and they didn't do a checklist. They're just going to wing it. They're going to go up in the sky and they're going to hope that everything works. Well, we need to do the same thing with our body. We need to think about it from the standpoint of having a little checklist. What are the things that we need to take care of that are going to help us to age better and longer and more healthy without necessarily having to replace joints in our hips and our shoulders and our knees, having spinal problems. You know, if you live long enough to be able to enjoy the fruit of your effort in your life to be able to do things, you want your body to work well too. And so many people that I see, they work their entire life and then they retire and their body breaks down. That doesn't need, you don't want that to be you. So the 150 years of beauty and aging the right way is really about looking ahead. We can begin to see the things in our life and how our body is wearing now. But most of the time, people are actually focusing on how they feel on the outside. How do I feel? Do I feel good? Do I feel strong? Am I in pain? Am I having problems? Or no, I feel pretty good. I run and I feel pretty good and my energy is pretty good and I'm sleeping okay. But that's all stuff on the outside of the body. What I want you to encourage you to do is to look on the inside of the body. How do we do that? We do that through an X-ray. We do that through blood work, through urinalysis, through other lab testing to be able to see what's going on in the inside of the body. So aging is not only what you do, it's also about understanding the problems that can begin to arise on the inside of the body. So I want you to think about this from the idea of your own aging, and you may say, I'm not really interested in living for 150 years. I don't know if I'm interested in living for 150 years. But I know that psychologically, from the standpoint of aging, that I have to begin to fix the roof while the sun is shining. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about the aging process. Watch the other videos which talk about being able to treat different parts of your body and looking at how you can make your body stronger, healthier, and you can age the best way possible. The next video that we're going to do is going to be about sinus relief pressure in less than 60 seconds. Stay tuned.